All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our fireside chat with Antonino Marano from Italy. So, for those of you who are not aware of who Italy is, we're going to get into that, and Antonino is going to get into some of the details of some of the work that we've been doing together as an organization. So, let's go ahead and get started. Looks like we've got a bunch of folks in here. Let me start off with number one. Let me start off with just a couple of housekeeping items. So, number one, you guys are in a webinar, so we can't hear you, we can't see you. But if you have any questions, there is a chat at the bottom. You can chat questions to us, and I'll monitor the questions, and we'll leave a little bit of room at the end to answer any questions that you may have. Number two, we will be recording this session. In fact, it is being recorded right now. And so we will share the recording with you after the fact. In that recording, what we'll do is we will pick a random participant, and we're going to be giving out a $100 gift card to Eataly. So for those of you who have never had the opportunity to experience the Eataly brand and the culture, it's going to be a great opportunity for somebody to do that. So we will announce that winner in the email that has the recording link associated with it. So with that, let's go ahead and start with introductions. So many of you may already know who I am. My name is Tushar Patel. I run the marketing organization here at Cleo. If you enjoy some of the emails and some of these types of events, then you can thank me. If we are spamming you, I apologize in advance. I know it takes a lot to get through the sea of emails that you get, but we want to make sure that we bring some valuable experiences like today into your inbox and into your organization. So, with that, I'd like to bring on who's already here on the virtual stage, Antonino Marano. Welcome to the stage. How are you?
Hello, hello. Good afternoon. And thank you so much, Tushar, for this opportunity to be here today. I'm really, really excited for this webinar. And that's it. I'm really, really happy to be here today.
Fantastic. Well, let's start with this. Why don't we start with a little bit of um, just a background on yourself, right? So what is your role at Italy? Let's walk through describing the organization, what you do. You guys are a very large organization. I learned today that you're probably nearing about $1 billion in revenue. So you guys are a large organization with a very complex business operations. Even though the user experience you provide is phenomenal and smooth, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes to make that happen. So why don't you walk through who Italy is and a little bit about yourself and your role?
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, thank you very much. This is Antonino Marano, solution architect at Italy, with 10 years of experience in multiple implementation with ERP software, EDI solution, WMS. So as you probably say, Tushar, we are a package in Italy that touch different area and different point, not only in the concept of food, because we not only are a small, I would say, logic. We have a small logic, artisan logic for Italy and Italian food. We also do great hospitality. So we are not only the grocery store where you go and can shop, but we have multiple restaurants inside our location. So both of them, of course, they bring a lot of complexity on the table, not only for the software solution, but also applying the software solution inside the business process. That's the challenge.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I was talking to, admittedly, I've never been to an Italy, but I've heard about it and read about it, and I learned that there's one about an hour away from my home. So I'm going to put it on my list of things to do. With that being said, I was talking to one of my team members today about it, and it's one of his, summertime traditions where he and his wife they go and they said we're going to make dinner tonight, and so they'll go and he said they'll grab a glass of rosé on the way in and they'll go through the shopping store and the grocery store and they'll pick up some, unique cheeses and unique pastas and unique meats that aren't available in very, very, mainstream stores. You can also take cooking classes. You can eat at
Absolutely.
restaurants within Italy as well. So it really is like, I had the opportunity to go to Italy a couple of years ago, and it really sounds like you're bringing that Italian culture right to people's neighborhoods. right? Is really what you're doing.
Absolutely, you described that perfectly. I mean, for us, it's crucial to keep the 100% Italian product on our shelter, but also on our plate. As you say, the concept of scuola, we call it scuola, which are our business school and also our classes where you can go there and sit and like learn how to make pasta, learn about wine, we call it vino, but there are multiple concepts in our location that we make sure that we bring the real Italian concept in the States and also in Canada. So we are going not only pushing a lot with our business in North America, but we are also opening in Asia and Africa. So it's a business that is worldwide, and we're going really, really, really strong in the next couple of years with opening multiple locations. There is an upcoming location for Italy store in Houston, Texas, but the one that I'm more excited about it is the Washington, D.C. location. They've been waiting for a while to have a location there, so we're already getting a lot of requests for reservation, and we're really excited about that.
That's fantastic. Well, so before we get into kind of Italy's complex supply chain and all the different trading partners and suppliers you're using and how you've leveraged Clio and the Clio services team specifically to help you transform your organization. Can you talk a little bit about your background, right? You have a lot of interesting supply chain background. I think a lot of that background was brought to the table. And my teams and our teams here at Clio definitely noticed that the expertise that you brought to the table really helped things move along. So can you talk a little bit about your past experiences, and then we'll get into some of the situation at Italy prior to Clio and some of the complexities you were dealing with.
First of all, I'm really I would say I really thank your team saying that about me because I think we did a great job together. So that was a great team effort. Second, yeah, my background, my master degree is in engineering, industrial engineering with the major. So I started and I always like supply chain. I moved from a different type of organization from a consultant point of view. So I worked with Accenture, Capgemini. I do work as end user also in Schindler. And so my background is not only on the logistics side, but I also had a strong experience in manufacturing. And I would say that kind of logic of manufacturing can also be applied in our kitchen because our finance plate or our salad on the pick and grab process is something that our chef put a lot of effort to arrive at the final product. So there is also a production flow inside Italy. With my background, of course, I learned a lot working with the Microsoft product. So I've been working with D365 finance operation, now called the supply chain and finance, and Power Up, Power Automates, all the stuff that are really interesting and that really touch the business process. I always when I always speak with someone from the business, I always say I'm not only an IT guy. I'm also one who can like understand what you mean when you say you need to move your goods from one department to another one to improve the efficiency behind your department to make sure that your goods quality remains the same. That's concept I feel that helped me to plasmate and made the right process inside an ERP, inside the Power Up, inside any business automation that we brought on the table, because we're also working heavily with AI and implementing AI solution with Microsoft in our D365 Italy apps. So it's another concept that definitely can bring speed up the process in our system. At the same time, the solution must be also be applicable to our business. And that's where my background, I feel that it melt between supply chain knowledge and solution architect.
Fantastic. So I think my big takeaway there, and I think we hear about this all the time, but you've really put it into practice, is it's not just about technology and processes, but it's also understanding what the business outcome is that you're trying to deliver, and then understanding the needs of the business along the way, right? So that can mean understanding your suppliers and how your suppliers think and act, your customers, your internal stakeholders. And I think, at least the feedback that I've been getting from the folks that have been working with you directly, admittedly, I'm not on the services team, so I didn't get a chance to work with you until recently. but the conversations were when you came into any interaction with the Clio team, you knew exactly what the end outcome was. It wasn't implementing for the sake of implementation or, connecting something for the sake of connection. It was really to help provide some business outcome. And as we talked about at the very beginning, ultimately the outcome is providing a seamless and really engaging experience for your customers. So whether that means having products on the shelf, whether that means having new products that are coming in and having products that your customers can buy that they can't get anywhere else, whether that means ensuring that the products are available for your chefs, right? Ensuring that your business processes that you have with registering for classes, right? Your cooking classes and all that are all there. So you've got a lot of moving parts, right? You've got some suppliers you're dealing with. You've got probably some like e-commerce and online reservation systems that you're dealing with as well. You've got store layout that you're thinking through, the technology that's utilized in the store itself. So a lot of complexity there. Can you walk through some of the major components that you were dealing with prior to engaging with Clio and partnering with Clio? What were some of the scenarios, the situations, and the challenges that you were dealing with?
100%. I mean, you definitely described it perfectly what I meant when I say it's important that we understand the business requirement, and that's what I also try to share with my team. If you define and write the requirement, you already did probably the 70% of the work because the understanding what the business needs is the measure of our work. That's where you can like switch gear and say, okay, we're going to deliver this because we have the requirement. I would say bringing the right software is also a great needed like Clio, but you
Yeah,
need
we'd
also
we'd like to believe that as well. You made a great choice. You made a great choice.
at the same time, you need to know what you want. And that's the complexity dealing with the business. In fact, to back to your question, what did the business want at the moment that we sit together when we started understanding about EDI and interaction with our vendor? The business want to have efficiency in terms of the transmission of our order. Second point, they needed to have a clear answer from our vendor that doesn't require having multiple email, that doesn't require having WhatsApp message. I always say that this funny story behind the Italy that sometimes our interaction and our relationship with our vendor is so great that they sent us WhatsApp message to say that the goods are not going to arrive or they're sending a different supplier item. So we are really strong relationship with our major vendor that we built already exchanging number and we communicate through WhatsApp. Prior Clio. So prior Clio, there was also WhatsApp. There were a lot of paper. There were a lot of emails sent. That was creating first delaying our delivery. Second, will also delaying communication because also we didn't understand if the delivery is going to arrive on time and also if the delivery is going to be completed. That's another important point because sometimes our vendor consider that we deal with food. For us, the freshness and the quality of the food must be 100% perfect. We're not talking about 98%. We're talking about that our customer deserve the best quality of product that there are around in the market. So for us, again, maintaining the freshness of the product was another concept. Prior Clear, that was really difficult. As I was saying, there were multiple email, and of course, there was multiple interaction with our sales rep. That means that our vendor was also impacted by this because the sales rep was not doing the sales. The sales rep was doing a customer service support. That's
Yeah,
different.
that is different.
That's totally different because if you're not doing sales, means that you don't have time to do sales. It means also that you cannot provide me the best product or an alternative to the best product that there is in the market.
Sure.
So on top of that, I will leave as the last point is also a lot of our vendors were asking EDI because the volume of our transaction and the volume of our order increased more than the 40%, I would say, in the last 2 years. We opened 10 stores in a year. We used to open one store every 6 years. So you can imagine how this changed totally for our
Totally.
vendor also say, okay, guys, you guys need to be reorganized in terms of solution with the transmission of the order because we cannot go through with the PDF. We can not only insert these orders manually in our system because it's also slowing down our business process.
Yeah, no, look, makes total sense. So number one, if I was to recap, a lot of manual processes. You said WhatsApp, and I laughed because we use that for my family, and it goes off all day long, right? Because it's like there's something going on with the kids, something going on with the cousins, in East Coast. So you're using WhatsApp. I mean, that's great because you have great relationships, but in order to maintain those relationships, your suppliers are saying, hey, we need you to start to have more scalable processes here. All right, we need you to start to implement
Of course.
and start to digitalize some of these transactions that we're having. Pressure on the sales team as well, right? Manual effort. So what folks don't understand sometimes is, they say, well, the manual work is working because I have a human being there. That's fine. And our goal isn't to replace the human being, it's to free up that human being to do more strategic things. So you can
That's
focus on
right.
the relationship with your supplier versus focusing in on like responding to some tactical item or responding to an order or manually inserting order information into your back end. The second thing it sounded like was visibility. So right, when someone sends you a text or you an email, you see that, but maybe other people don't. So how do we give visibility to the rest of the organization in a nice consolidated view? And then I would say the last one that I kind of took out of that was just scalability. All right, one of the things that I love about Clio, and again, I know I'm biased, but what I love about Clio is we have customers who are doing EDI for the first time and they're sub $1 million and looking for outsourcing, the EDI capabilities, the connectivity, the supplier enablement or the onboarding of their customers. But then we also have very, very large organizations that literally run billion transactions through our platform as well. And so we'll kind of, we'll meet you where you're at. And it sounds like we did a pretty good job meeting you where you were at in your maturity as an organization, where you had a lot of complexity and a lot of process. But when it came to working with your suppliers and orders and all of that, that part of the business is what needed some transformation. So that's fantastic. I really appreciate you sharing that. Now, a quick question there. Were you also going through any ERP migrations or any ERP changes as well?
Yes, so that's actually a good question. I want to add also another point to that discussion because with Clio, we also developed the solution that Clio didn't have before. The solution was to fully integrated with our new ERP, which is D365 supply chain and finance, because as you were saying, with the supply chain, the Clio team was already having all the solution to be fully connected on AR side, so sales order confirmation, shipment, advanced notification, and so on. But before Italy, Clio didn't have a native solution to manage the purchase order acknowledgement, the purchase order
Hmm.
confirmation, the part that we extended and worked together with the Clio as partner to implement it in succeeding also, because again, that was something that we did during the D365 implementation because we were migrating from 15 years old ERP to managed by a third-party company in the US to a global D365 Microsoft solution with a centralized control of the enterprise resource planning. So that means that in the meantime that we were implementing the ADI, we were scouting and designing together the 50, A55, and A10 with
Hmm.
an integration for D365. We also were going in a rollout in all the different stores around North America and with also two warehouses, two main distribution warehouses with the two different WMS solution at the same time.
Got it. Yeah, so a lot of back end integration work that we're in. So let's talk about that a little bit. So let's talk about what you utilize Clio services team to do. So, we don't do ERP implementation, but we do integrations and the business process, that you might have with your ERP and your WMS system. So can you talk through the different pieces that you leverage the Clio services team to do? Obviously, onboarding your suppliers is a big one, so maybe we start there and kind of work our way down.
One thing that I was really happy about it was that Clio brought in the table also D365 expert.
Mm.
That was for me a crucial. That was a game changing because why? Because I don't have to explain to my partner the ERP.
Yep,
You can have an SAP, you can have an Oracle, you can have inside Oracle NetSuite and so on. And that for me was one of the elements to push and going with Clio because when I was speaking with the Clio team, they know about tables, they know about data project, they know about Microsoft concept of purchasing and so on. So there was something that Clio already had the background, and
sure.
that was definitely I think one of the point that brought us to deliver this solution with success.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So let's start with the different phases of the
Mhm,
work. So what did you start with first? I know
mhm,
one of the things that I would love for you to talk about is the fact that when you were looking at some of the suppliers that you wanted to onboard, many of them were already Clio customers. So they were already in
yeah.
the network. So can you talk a little bit about like the power of having such a large network and the power of the platform having already integrated with some of your suppliers. And it sounds like if I remember correctly, I don't even think you knew that, or maybe they recommended Clio too. I can't remember the exact order of operations, but if you could walk through that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, of course. So in the moment that our CFO brought on the table the necessity to have an EDI solution, because this is not improving also the, I would say, operational part. It's also improving our account payable processes. That's it's really important that we don't have like to underline because we are bringing thousand and thousand invoices in our ERP thanks to Clio without having any manual effort from our team. But again, going back to your question, the first things that appear in my mind say, okay, who are our main vendors that we want to bring in the ADI? And they, again, I feel free to like share like Atalanta, Gourmet Food for us, our key partner. So I reach out to them and say, okay, guys, I think we're ready to do this EDI implementation after 15 years. So who do you guys recommend? Who do you guys use? And their first answer from them was Clio. Okay, perfect. So I would say already Clio sounds from two different partners as a good EDI provider. Let's scout more about it because that also really helped us to implement in the meantime that we were doing D365 migration and ERP migration. So we're talking about changing our process and our software, implementing also an EDI with another third-party partner. And we
Yeah.
did that in 3 months. So that means that the process was scouting the solution. Then we had the pre-sale meeting in a week. We were on board with that. In 2 weeks, we started with the team and we started the mapping and we started deploying the Clio add-on because Clio has an add-on for Microsoft that you just have to install. You don't have to do like any type of weird deployment or any type of weird integration. It's just an add-on that you install it. And that brought us to have the solution up and running in 3 months.
So
That
you went from awesome. So you went from initial conversation with Clio, getting through all of your evaluation, and getting onboarded and integrated into an ERP all within about 3 months.
Yes,
That's phenomenal, right? I mean,
yes,
I know a lot of organizations will talk about onboarding in days and we do too, but usually that's only a piece of that, right? It's the onboarding of the supplier side. It doesn't include the integration side, right? Because onboarding is a step and mapping is another step and integrating into the back end system, ERP, WMS, whatever, is kind of the third step. And a lot of times organizations talk about onboarding and they make these fast claims that we can onboard within a matter of days, which is possible. Absolutely, it's
yeah.
possible, and we do it all the time. But you didn't do that. You went all the way through from selecting Clio all the way into actually getting transactions into your backend within 3 months.
Yes,
That's
and
awesome work.
that was possible because again, Atalanta, J5, our main partner already had Clio. said it was easy. I mean, my customer success resource is the same one that has Atalanta. So when we were like to organize a meeting, I directly go to her and she like
She
organized a
would get
meeting
both
with
of them
my
together. Yeah,
partner.
look, that's what we call the power of the network, right? And
Yes.
we've been building our ecosystem network for years now, where we have 3PLs and it's not just trading partners, but it's also applications, right? And so you were able to
Mhm.
leverage the connections and the connectors with the D365, leverage the actual trading partner network as well. And look, leverage the expertise and the resources in your CSM in the services organization to kind of do all that onboarding and the integration. Um, that's fantastic. So if we can talk about a little bit about, pre and post, and this is always hard because organizations don't always measure how long it took to get certain things done. But do you have any metrics around how much time you've been able to save, or any of those types of things in terms of leveraging the implementation services? Before I go to the managed service, I definitely want to talk about the managed service part, the post implementation
Mhm.
services. But when we talk about the implementation side, were you able to look at any type of metrics there, or is that too hard for you guys to track?
So definitely now we're going in that direction. That now we are more stable, and definitely we are stronger now in terms of analysis and KPI with our vendor. I would say that now we just meet our order in less than 30 minutes compared to before and get the order in our vendor in our partner system. So that means that in the moment that our team in the store confirm that they require that product and the product gets transmitted and confirmed to the vendor is a 30 minutes gap. Why 30 minutes? Because we want to not I would say, overload our system with multiple orders. So it's something that we are maintaining internally. And before, again, with all the back and forward through email and so on, and to get the confirmation, it will probably take days to arrive at a point that the order will get delivered.
Wow.
So an
Wow. So
example
you've been
is,
able to cut days into 30 minutes.
yeah,
That's
I mean,
fantastic. No, that's fantastic. Look, a lot of that has to do with the processes that you put in place, and the seamlessness of your operations as well, because having that well documented allows us to come in and understand where we can insert ourselves and where we can help automate, where we can help digitalize and help you kind of build more of, an autonomous supply chain that's there. Awesome. So I'm going to shift gears now. We've spent a lot of time talking about, selection and prior to Clio, as well as how the services team was able to help you get onboarded quickly, and as well as our customer success team, right? Which we have as well there to ensure the adoption and make sure that the project stays on schedule and so forth. Let's talk about post implementation, right?
mhm.
You've also been a customer of what we call transaction monitoring and management, right? And that is our managed, our managed services, our EDI managed services, where you outsource and we monitor and manage those transactions for you on a 24 by 7 basis. We also provide and guarantee a 1 hour response time. That's not a 1 hour resolution time, although a lot of things do get resolved within an hour. It gives you the comfort and as well as the control, knowing that you've got a team of EDI experts watching your system, watching your transactions, and if something goes bump in the night, something goes, whether it's a connection error or whether it's a mapping failure or data failure, we will respond within an hour of seeing that back to you. So you at least understand the resolution path. So can you talk a little bit about how you're leveraging that, how things are going for you, and how have we been able to meet expectations?
Definitely, good question. This is a great question. So the post-implementation process brought on our table two positive things for us, not only in terms of maintenance and support, but also in terms of saving costs. Why? Because in the moment that we implement EDI, when we go in front of our partner, we say, okay, our vendor, we say, okay, now we implemented a solution that is going to save time to get the order transmitted to your system. That also going to improve the term of communication between us and the vendor. And that requires an adjustment on the contract. So that means that we bring saving After that, we went live with the ADI. We brought saving in our contract because we can cut some fee that we were paying for delivery that arrived later or additional airport support from sales rep. So we were able to review the contract in terms of saving and in terms of actual value of our product. Second point uh, after the go live, and then we can talk about the support from Cleo. Second point after the go live was the invoices. So we were able to import per day 100 per month, 1,000 of invoices from our vendors straight to our AP. And we also built inside our ERP a system that automatically posts these invoices if the quantity and the prices matches with the PO. And that also automatically sent the payment to our vendor. That means that in the moment that our vendor sends us an A10 EDI invoice and it gets imported in the system, we can go through an hour the entire process. That means that in an hour, our vendor can also receive a payment in their bank. So that if everything match, of course, there are multiple ifs on this, but it's a logic that if everything aligns, our vendor get the money in an hour.
Yeah, you're basically effectively doing, matching between what you received and the invoice and making sure that delivery occurred and automating all of the checks for that, but then also automating, sending the payment out as well. So it saves a lot of
Exactly.
manual effort and time. Awesome.
Why do we need the support from Clio? The support from Clio was been great in the last year in terms of maintenance support. So every time that an invoice fails for any type of reason, because the vendor transmitted the weird character in the XML file. If Clio or Italy invented deploy something overnight and mess up with the ERP, whatever, we immediately get the ticket, and the ticket is assigned to my team, where Clio explain us that the specific document fails with the specific job ID and the action that we should take. And that is also sent with the follow-up. I do have a team with the project manager from Clio, who I reach out, and I also drive her crazy sometimes when there is something that I don't like or something that needs prioritized, and then she's always been super nice and super supportive. So Clio is not only providing a support team but is also giving me a project manager to handle all these I would say, support requests that are open directly from the team.
Fantastic. We have two kind of services on that, right? So we have our standard, TM&M service that does all the monitoring, the management. If we need to reprocess, we can reprocess. But then there's an add-on to that, what we call TM&M Plus, which actually gives you additional implementation hours for what you would say adds, changes, drops, deletes, right? Any changes that may occur, right? Certificate changes or your trading partner changes some of their requirements. You need to make a mapping change. Or you might even need to add an additional trading partner that wasn't originally in the initial implementation. So walk me through what led you to upgrade your managed services from kind of the basic package to the plus package.
The main answer and the only answer was because it worked. Because it worked before. Because we saw that this solution can bring us a value on our business and our transaction were growing, and we want to onboard on our EDI solution other vendors.
Okay.
Because when they started hearing around that we had an EDI solution, the vendor, the partner directly reach out to us and say, if you guys onboard my team or my solution on EDI, we're going to give you a saving or the 2% or 3% on this contract. So for us, it was also a motivation point for our business to say, let's push it, let's go through it. And then, of course, with any type of implementation, it came also additional work and something that you probably missed during the assessment process. So for this reason, we moved to the TMM Plus service to make sure that we onboarded a new partner, but we also enhanced the actual solution, including functionality that before were not considered as fundamental, such
Got it.
as sending email when an order confirmed, or alert our user if the order has not been picked yet. Some stuff like that that can be improving our business process after that the solution is stable.
Makes sense, right? So additional trading partners, any changes that may come across that were unforeseen, things that may have been missed in the initial scoping, but then also continuing to optimize and drive more seamless operations, right? Because
That's
as we
correct.
all know, as you grow, things never get easier, right? Things always become more complex. You have, more stores you're dealing with, maybe more suppliers you're dealing with. So you want to have that flexibility of being able to add without having to go through a statement of work every time. Say, hey, you got a bucket of hours, and in those bucket of hours, you can make those requests, and our team will take care of it for you. Right. Awesome. We have a couple of questions that came through, but before we get to the questions, I've got two more areas that I want to focus in on that we get questions all the time around. So number one of the biggest concerns when folks move to a managed service, especially for EDI, is they feel that they're going to lose control, right? That they're not going to be able to see the transactions. They're not going to be able to get their, fingers on the keyboard within the solution, within the software. And so, we because of that reason, we offer self-service, we offer managed service, and we also offer like a blended service where you could do some work yourself, or you can outsource some of that work to Cleo's managed services team. Can you talk a little bit about control? Like, have you felt like you have a lack of control, or why or why not have you felt in control with going to a managed service like Clio?
That's actually a really good question. We had the same fear at the beginning, saying that we are externalizing our orders to a third party, and that's the same fear, right? So we want to make sure that we still get the delivery. We want to make sure that we still control our invoices. We want to make sure that everything goes smooth and we don't depend only on third party solution to make sure that that we get the invoices properly and so on. And that was one of the fear that we had. At the same time, I still have the full control on our transaction. I mean, if I need to go inside Clio CIC and export all the transaction related to a specific period per invoices, I can still do it. I have with me, I do have two team resources who are supporting me, and they are like now taking over everything that I was checking before in terms of like smoothness in the integration and so on. So I would say we still have full control and visibility in our transaction. It's
Yeah.
fundamental for us.
No, and that's super important, right? Even if Clio is doing all the work for you, all the implementation work, all the managed services, even post implementation, and any of the changes that might occur, we call it, runtime operations versus, initial setup. It's important to note that you as a customer actually have access to the same exact tools, the same visibility as we do. So you still have access to, if you wanted to make map changes, right? Or you can just sit back and let us do it, and you can see it, that you can see the changes that are occurring. Same thing with the visibility, same thing with any onboarding and certificate management, whatever it is that we're managing for you. That all of that control, we provide access to our customers to. Again, most of our customers will be hands off with it because they can
Yeah,
use that time to focus on more strategic things, or
of
go
course.
focus on tougher problems to go solve, like implementing a new ERP or implementing a new
Exactly.
WMS. But some
Exactly.
customers like to do the blended approach where they want to get in and fix certain things, or they want to get in and onboard this particular customer because it's strategic to them, as an example. And so they might say, hey, we'll handle XYZ retailer or XYZ supplier, you handle the rest. And so we really have a sliding scale in there. And so I'm glad that we've been able to meet the expectations that you had coming into that, because it is one of the areas that we pride ourselves in providing. Um, Last question for you, and then there's a couple of questions that came in that I want to make sure that we answer live here. If somebody was looking at Clio, right, and look, I like to be a realist. Um, Very rarely does any technology project go exactly as planned, right? You could have the best technology in the world, and the best people in the world. There's always going to be something that you didn't see, always going to be something that, has a monkey wrench thrown and takes you off course. Can you talk about some of the challenges that you had and how you partnered with Cleo, during the implementation process? Because we only talked about the good stuff. Can we talk about some of the challenges and issues we had and how we partnered on and getting those resolved?
So one of the key elements in any type of software implementation is the change management. That's one of the most important aspects that, as a solution architect, both in as a end user or in a consultant point of view, I always recommend. Whoever goes through an ERP implementation or a software change, it's crucial to have the right team for change management because your business processes are going to change. And
Mhm.
for us, what is changed, what was the challenge was having the team not sending WhatsApp message to the vendor, but actually doing the stuff in the ERP, maintaining the VPN numbers, so the external item numbers in the system, and so on. And one thing that they always complained, and there was like critical moment at that time with also the ERP implementation, it was the purchase order acknowledgement message, so day 55. We
Mhm.
implemented an A55 that was transmitted straight from the system of our partner in our ERP with enough information like additional field in the system. So Clio developed additional field inside our ERP, inside D365, because Clio has also developer. But that was not enough because you can imagine a chef or someone that who is like a great grocery manager, great grocery director on the field, going around on the shelf, checking the product, or a chef behind a counter, like cooking, they cannot check with their laptop in the ERP if the order was confirmed or not. They used to have always a purchase order confirmation sent through an email. So they say,
Mm.
we have our phone in our in our pocket. It's vibing. Okay, it's an email. It arrived the purchase order confirmation, or my order is short of this specific product. So I brought this point to Clio, say, okay, guys, we need to do something that can communicate not only with the ERP, but you also sent, we say, an email communication to our store or to whoever placed the order. And with Clio, we went through different logic, like based on item change, based on item price change, based on shortage of specific shipment. We built an email notification that was sent to the person who placed the order, so they don't have to be on their laptop. They can straight check on their phone if the if the order is confirmed or not.
Got it. Wow, that's interesting. And those are things that, while they're some of the capabilities are in the product, right? In terms of notification, it's not something that you would have thought of. We would have thought of that, hey, a chef at a store needs to get this notification also, right? So it's great that you rolled it out. It sounds like it sounds like there was a little bit of friction, right, from some of your users internally, and we were able to go in and work together to
Yes,
go figure out that friction and how to resolve some of that friction for your team.
yes.
That's great. So I know I wanted to open up for questions. We've already got a couple of questions, so I'll start with those. And the audience that's here, if you have any additional questions, please go ahead and jump in. I'm going to start with the first two questions that came in. So it says, first, you mentioned that there were delays in delivery prior to Clio. What specific processes or templates have had the biggest impact in you reducing your delivery time and reducing your onboarding time?
That's actually a great question, and thank you for that. I would say our A50 brought an improvement in our deliveries because, as I was saying at the beginning, in the moment that our purchase order get confirmed, an A50 message is transmitted from CAC inside our partner system, and that's something that we perform in less than 30 minutes or 30 minutes because we have a functionality directly in the ERP that read in the background and say, okay, this purchase order has been confirmed, that this time is ready to be sent out. So we have different conditions. And that brings an additional improvement in terms of communication with the vendor. Before, you have to imagine that the user has to go in an email generate a PDF from the old ERP, attach the PDF to the email, write the email. Of course, you have to write the email body as well properly, send to the right person, because it's also another good point. In our vendor, change sales rep, because there could be a turnover everywhere.
Yeah.
And if we don't have the right contact, or if we don't provide the right contact to our store, there will be also delay in sending out this purchase order. So all of that stuff is no longer needed because it's fully integrated. For this reason, I'm talking about 30 minutes. On top of that, I'm also want to underline the A55, that it is the template for the purchase order acknowledgement, because it also gives us an understanding of the specific item if will be shortage. I mean, if
Mm.
we're not going to get it, if we will get a supplement, so a different SKU. I mean, working in food, we have million type of tomatoes. I didn't even know before. For me, it's just a tomato. For them, it's like 1 million different tomatoes. So sometimes they don't send the tomato that we require. They send a different tomato. And this will be fully integrated in our ERP, and also with an email notification automatically sent to our user. So these 2 points definitely reduce the delay in the deliveries.
Fantastic. No, I think that's great. I think one of the other parts on the onboarding side, for the person who asked the question, you also leveraged Clio's D365 connector into your back end, right? And you helped us enhance that connector with specific flows that you needed, that the standard connector wasn't there. And so when we think about onboarding, right, we think about it as we call it internally, we call it a butterfly. You've got the right wing of a butterfly, the left wing of the butterfly, right? The right wing is your trading partner, the left wing is your systems, and you've got Clio, the body of the butterfly in between. And so in your situation, you were able to leverage the network, right, for onboarding of the suppliers, right? Some of those suppliers were already existing Clio customers, and so we had some good understanding of the document formats and the protocols to
Yeah,
connect to them. But then we also had the connector on the back end, into this specific ERP. And so just like you did 365, right? We have SCM, we have NetSuite, we have Oracle EBS, SAP. We have a lot of different connectors in the back end. QuickBooks for those of you that are smaller or using QuickBooks for any type of finance, and then along with that WMS and TMS systems as well, that we connect into in those. So you and your team was able to leverage all of that, right?
absolutely.
Which I think is super important, right? So and once we have that available, and it's built, other companies and other customers can leverage that as well, right? That having that whole network effect and reuse. The other question that came through is, um, and this may be a question for me, but I'd love to get your perspective. It said during the implementation work, what was handled by the Clio services team, and what were the customer, in case what were you handling during the implementation?
I like this question because, again, uh, we choose a Clio because we didn't have time to support the development part. We partner with another third party for the D365 implementation for the running of the ERP. And when I presented them the request to have also an support for the ADI integration, they immediately say, "Oh, we don't have time. If we include also this piece in our pipeline, we are going to delay the ERP rollout in the other stores." So that was a red flag for me. I mean, immediately for this reason, when I started talking with Clio, the first question that I asked is, do you guys have a connector? I want to speak with someone that knows D365 SEM. I don't have time right now to explain how the solution works
Okay.
for D365 and Microsoft. I need someone who is really, really expert with that. So what we handle from our side is just providing the orders, so the testing. We created on Eataly, we created all the purchase order, we provided all the SKU, we provided the test environment, we provided developer to deploy the Clio package in our ERP. But anything else that was mapping between the field of the ERP and the ADI solution, any expertise with XW, X12, so all the type of formatting, all the integration and so on, that was handled by Clio. Because first, we didn't have time. Second, we didn't have expert resource to support with that.
Ah, fantastic answer. And glad we were able to help. And to elaborate on that, just to look at other customers, the answer is it depends. Oftentimes customers come in and they know exactly what the requirements are. They know exactly how their ERP works, and so they'll provide information to us, right? They'll give us what the integration specs are. They'll give us what the mapping is and all that, and our role is to just implement that. Certain times customers come and say, "We don't know. We need your help in kind of reverse engineering what work was done." So often we get, the person who built it retired 2 years ago and we haven't touched it in 2 years, or the person who built it is no longer here, or the product was built and now they've gone end of life and end of support. Or I'm new to the company. I have no idea, and don't have the time to deconstruct what work was done. So the answer is it just depends, and that's again one of the things I love about what we've done here at Clio is the idea of flexibility. So in that implementation process, you can implement it yourself. Very rarely do customers do that because everybody is busy, right? And everybody has certain things that they want to focus in on. They don't want to focus on, putting the implementation together. They want to focus on the business process and improving the business process. So oftentimes, most of the time, a lot of that work falls onto Clio to figure out. And we're happy to do that, and we're happy to come in and work with our customers. So I'm glad you're able to leverage our teams in-house to be able to do that. This other question that came in here as well was a question for Cleo, so I'm going to answer it. It says, looking ahead, what trends do you think will have the biggest impact on EDI and B2B integration over the next 3 to 5 years, and how should customers prepare? I am interested in Antonino's answer as well, but I'll give you mine. Um, you can't open up any screen, phone, TV, laptop, and go on any platform without hearing the words or letters AI. And so one of the things that we see here at Clio is AI is really going to transform how organizations drive agility and drive proactive supply chain. So we are doing heavy investments on the AI side. And for us, it's not AI for the sake of AI, like slapping a chat bot on top of it. Like anybody can do that. And we have done that already, right? What we've also done is leverage AI to remove friction in all of the processes. So we're leveraging AI for onboarding purposes. So now we can, deploy agents to quickly onboard trading partners versus utilizing an individual, where now people are managing the process and doing the quality checks and setting the rules of what needs to be done versus doing some of that work. So there's autonomous work that's being done there. There's also a lot of work on the AI side for monitoring and management of the operations. So one of the things that we released earlier this year is intelligent exception management. And what that does is it leverages AI in kind of three buckets. Bucket number one is it looks across all the issues and it categorizes all the issues. So even if you're a managed services customer, you can see that level of work, right? You can see, okay, I'm just going to make this up. I've got 100 errors. 20% of them fall into this bucket, it's connection. The other 15% fall into mapping errors, and the other ones were timed out. So now you can understand exactly what the root causes are, and you're not just looking at, oh my gosh, I've got all these errors happening, but you can actually understand what the root cause is. The second piece of that is we are providing, we're leveraging, we have about 18, and then yesterday I heard we've deployed two more agents. I think we're at 20 different agents now that are deployed within Clio. And part of what they're doing is now giving recommended actions. So it's not just using AI to classify and categorize the root cause, it's actually giving you a recommended path to resolution. And so for a self-service customer, you can go and do that yourself. In other situations, you can see what the recommended resolution is, but the Clio team is actually looking at the recommendation and then deciding if that is truly the root cause. And as we know, AI can make mistakes, but it's a recommendation. And so in that situation, we're removing the friction so that team members can be more proactive and can respond faster. And then the last one, which you'll see here coming down the road, is what we're calling autonomous actions. And so now, because there's been so much training that we've been doing on the system, and we run about 3.5, almost 4 billion transactions through the platform. We're able to train the agents to understand when you see an error, how can you fix that autonomously, even without a human being in the loop? And now the human is driving the governance structure. What am I allowing the agent to do? And what am I wanting to do? And now it's I can deploy the agent to do the fix, but I can do the checking, I can do the verification before it gets deployed. But there's autonomous actions now being taken place. So those are some examples of what we're doing. Obviously, you also can leverage AI for context and intelligence. So we have a live order view that we've announced as well that allows you to get proactive with any potential chargebacks, potential fees. So, hey, you missed acknowledging an order, and if you don't acknowledge it, you might lose that order. Often you don't understand that until it's too late. So now we're leveraging AI to bring and surface actions and activities that you need to take that you need to do proactively to prevent a fee, a fine, a chargeback from happening. Because one of the greatest quotes that one of my solution architects here had said is, it's not important to just win the business and onboard. It's also important to continue to grow that business, right? And so you can't get, if you're a manufacturer, I know we have a lot of manufacturers online today, you can't expect, your retail partner to give you more shelf space if you can't meet the requirements, the SLAs, the responsiveness, and all of that. And so you've won the business. Now what? Well, now you've got to maintain and grow it. And so we're providing tools to allow you to grow your business. So, Antonino, what is your perspective? How do you see the market shaping over the next 2 to 3 years?
I totally agree with you. I mean, last week we had our customer success meeting with your CSM and the sales manager who presented me this solution that you just described. And I'm really interested on it because we don't want to delay any payments. We don't want that our products get stuck because there is an error in the integration for any type of reason. We need to go straight to the point of solving it. And if we can also automate that because we have an AI agent who can do that and is trained for that, why not? This way. So for me, as a solution architect, the AI perspective is only positive, and we are already using that in Italy. So we're not only Italy, we are not only an Italian food company, we do also distribution. And for us, having our an e-commerce, so having our WMS and warehouses always fulfilled in the right time and where the quality discrepancy or any type of issues in terms of lot ID that are expiring, lot ID that don't look great for specific product. We always have, we started building an AI agent who can go through the WMS and review our actual active inventory on hand and immediately underline to us which are the products that are going to expire, with which frequency, from coming from which vendor, and give us an analysis of the quality of the product that we have in our WMS. So it's something that we are like building as AI agent, and it sounds really exciting in this moment as your project for Clio. So I totally agree that the AI agent should not replace the employee, but should give them a great improvement to go to the next level. That's always my mentality. It has to give you the opportunity to study something different. In the meantime, that you have an AI agent to do a work that you already learned. So in this
Yes,
way, you can move to the next step.
move
And
to the
that's
next step.
where the mentality that I'm bringing into Italy right now.
I love it. I love it. Well, they are lucky to have you, Antonino. Ladies
Thank
and
you.
gentlemen, Antonino Marano manages, supply chain over at Eataly. Really appreciate you taking the time today to walk through your journey with Cleo and all the great things that we've been able to do together, and also appreciate all the compliments that you were able to give the team. And again, the compliments go back to your team as well.
Thank
So with
you.
that being said. Um, uh, what we will do for today is we will send this recording out to everybody. And as I mentioned, we're going to be giving out a gift card. And since Antonino did so well, we're actually going to be I'm going to raise the dollar value of that gift card so that you can actually go in to Eataly and completely experience everything that your heart's desire that's required there. And so we'll announce our winner in the email where we'll include the link to the recording. So Antonino, thank you again so much. I really appreciate your time. But any final words for everybody before we sign off here?
No, thank you so much, Tushar. Really, really nice to meet you. Always great to work with you and Cleo. Really great partner. So thank you so much, and I hope we can keep growing together.
Sounds great. All right. Well, have a great day, everybody, and enjoy the rest of summer. We'll see you next time. Bye
You
bye.
too. Thank you so much.